Alrighty, hello everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and pretty much get straight into this. And today I am basically going to show you how to paint a couple of beach landscapes, and I'm hoping to get through both of them. I think we should be able to get through both of them. I probably want to spend more time on the second one. And beach landscapes are probably one of the first subjects that I picked when I started out as a beginner. And the reason why is because they're just so simple. You've got a bit of sky, you've got a bit of sand, and, you know, some water, a couple of figures, maybe an umbrella here or there. They don't take very long at all, and they teach you the basics of watercolor. Sometimes the more simple a scene, the better. In fact, in this particular reference, you know, there is this kind of boardwalk or whatever going into the sand. I don't quite like that. I'm actually just going to remove that entirely and just get in an indication of some of these figures and these umbrellas. So I think this would be a nice, simple one to start off with. I tend to pick pretty complex reference photos, so, you know, from some of your advice, I'm going to go with something a little bit more simple today. So I do see a bunch of you on Facebook. If you can hear me, let me know how the audio quality is and how the video quality is. It's always hard for me to tell, but yeah, if you're new here today, my name is Darren Yu. I'm an artist from Melbourne over in Australia, and yeah, basically I run a lot of these watercolor workshops, and today I'm doing a couple basically on beach landscapes. So we'll learn a few different techniques: wet and wet, wet and dry. You know, we're going to be painting shadows, basic figures, how to also change a reference photo as well to make it look a bit more interesting. I think that's very important with reference pictures. You never get something that is perfect. You kind of have to improvise and find something that you like in it, or change it up. So yeah, if you're here, let me know down in the comments. I see there's a whole bunch of you, about maybe 10 people, 11 people at the moment. I haven't organized anything. I just decided to go live. So yeah, let me know down in the chats whereabouts you're from and something that you're working on or are painting at the moment in watercolors. But without further ado, I think I will go ahead and get started on the actual drawing itself. And you'll notice in this scene, it's lots of sky, tons of sky, okay? And, you know, for the sake of preserving the reference picture, I'm gonna basically do the same thing. So right here, okay, I'm just putting in that area where the sand touches the water, okay? And I've actually increased it a little bit, so I'd say this is about a third of the way up the page, from the bottom of the page. And just above that section, I'm going to put in the water line, okay, just like this, all the way in the back. Okay, there we have it. That's the water all the way at the back. And apart from that, there is almost nothing else we need to do besides get in a few figures, umbrellas, and things like that. And what I was saying before, in terms of simplifying the scene, because obviously there are some umbrellas and things like that here, okay? But I also want to put in some figures walking through the scene, just to make it more interesting as well. So firstly, we do have a white umbrella here. Let's get this one in. There's a little white umbrella, you know, just like that. You know, just getting a little indication of that umbrella, okay? Doesn't have to be too detailed, okay? It's almost, if you look at the umbrella, it's almost like a triangle, okay? A triangle shape, but it's kind of more curved around, almost like a semicircle, in the middle of a semicircle or triangle. And we're basically just getting that general shape in, and then with a line running downwards. So that should get you, you know, that should really get you in the majority of all kind of umbrella type shapes. There's another blue one here, okay? Really simplifying this. In the front, I really don't know what's going on there. It looks like there's some people maybe setting up, I don't know what that is. It could be part of the beach, but on the right-hand side anyhow, there is a umbrella that goes above the water line at the back, and we have to be a little bit more intentional with this one. But we've got a few little segments like that. Okay, there we have it. We've got an umbrella. Okay, it's not the most perfect umbrella, but it does the job. And I'll get in another one on the just underneath here, which is sort of like facing. Yeah, it's interesting. It's closer. but it is facing the back of the scene. All right, I'm just going to try to imply something here, like these little frills on the side, you know, like that. Again, I'm not bothering with with making it perfect or anything like that. Just a indication of what's going on. All right, the bottom of it there. You know, you have these people carrying around their little containers, eskies or whatever. Here there is a bag on top. There's looks like some kind of towel or something here. I don't know what that is, but it's something down below. You've got a person sitting here, and on the chair it is a kind of rectangular shape, a simple rectangular shape like this. And we've got some, whatchamacallit, these little legs of the chair. It's not a huge deal, just something like that. And I can get in maybe the head of the figure just popping out like this. And yeah, I love these beach scenes. You know, like I said, I've always, for me, started out painting these because they're just a lot more simpler than a lot of other reference photos out there, especially if you're a beginner. And I think it's a good place to start. So, I mean, that's basically it for the scene. I don't have anything else in there. I mean, there's a towel or something here. We can get a bit of, I don't know, some kind of towel here. You know, we'll put another container or something on this side. It could be someone that's gone out into the water. But this is where I was, you know, umming and ahhing as well about maybe putting in a figure, a couple of figures here. Just maybe two people just walking. They're putting in the heads first. It's kind of rectangular kind of head or whatever. Like that. And, you know, maybe they've got some shorts on. Who knows? And there's a leg. Another leg. I want to simplify this down. Maybe this is a person just walking off into the, you know, into the scene. There, you know. Could be walking forwards, could be walking away, but just a basic little figure like that. Okay. No shirt there. And that's basically it. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, do I want to put in any other people? You know, we could do. There's bits of belongings, people's belongings and stuff near that umbrella down at the back, but yeah, for the most part, you can't really see it. Actually, this one is so far down the back, these umbrellas, that they kind of like beyond where the sand is. So I don't see really a shadow back there, but you will see shadows cast by these particular ones here on the right hand side. I've got Aggressive Koala. How you doing? From Montenegro. Yeah, so this is going to be another beach scene. I haven't done one of these for a while, so I thought, why not give it a crack. Now, some colors, and we've got to plan this out first. And I'm also thinking to myself, with the water, I want to maybe get it a little bit blurred off in the background, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how we go. I think I just want to, I want to make a softer waterline out in the back. But I may change my mind. But I think at least go in while it's damp. We've got Pamela here in the chat. How you doing, Pamela? Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a couple of the last lives. So, yeah, I'm doing these ones a little bit more suitable for us over here in Melbourne. But yeah, I don't normally catch my usual viewers in the States around this time. And yeah, but I do see there's a few people on Facebook. If you're watching, just let me know. Yeah, let me know what time it is for you down there, and whereabouts you're watching from. So first step is pretty basic. What we're doing is we're adding in a little bit of color for the sky. Okay, and the first thing I want to do is I just want to pick up, I want to make the sky a little bit, kind of have some grays and, maybe some lighter grays and stuff in there as well, but mainly blue, okay? But, yeah, I've just dropped in a teeny bit of water in some areas. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow me to sort of mix in a bit of gray in some of those areas. But not just that, when I put in the blue, it's going to kind of cut around, melt into this area I'm in. So I use a little bit of this stuff here. It's cerulean blue. And cerulean blue is really a great all-around sky color. It's essential. If you don't have that, ultramarine blue is good as well. And yeah, I'm assuming that the video and audio quality is all right. I can see a preview in the left-hand corner of my screen, but yeah, yeah, I always kind of have to adjust it from time to time, you know, just to make sure, because the sun starts going down around this time, and then yeah. But anyway, how you doing, Pamela? What you been up to these days? Hope you've been getting out a little bit. The weather's nicer these days in Melbourne. Finally, we've got like a few days of summer at least. And we've got Bonnie on Facebook, 6 p.m. Brisbane. Awesome. Yeah, like it looks like we've got a few Aussies around this time, because it's yeah, for most people in America, I think it's, you know, it's either too early or usually too early for them. We've got Monica from London, 8 o'clock in the morning. Great. That's nice and early. You're very ambitious, painting at that time. So anyway, I'm going to drop in this cerulean blue, okay? The mixture of the cerulean blue is mostly water, okay? So when I say mostly water, I am saying about, I don't know, 80 to 90% water. And I'm using a really large mop brush here, because the mop brush just stops me from overthinking things. When I want to get in a nice loose scene and indicate, you know, indicate a sort of softness, not too many brush strokes and stuff like that, I always use a larger brush, and it forces you to paint with fewer brush strokes. Okay, can you see that? And I've got a nice smooth wash off in the distance, and these little sketches can be great. Oh, I've gone over that umbrella, it doesn't matter. These little sketches can be great as little gifts if you've got friends. Well, of course you have friends. Most of us do, I hope. But friends and family, you can put them onto postcards, make postcards out of them, that kind of stuff, and they don't take you that long to paint as well. So there we go. That's it. I mean, it's just a quick little wash for the sky. And another thing I like to do is right at the top of the sky, now this is a habit that I have, but I like to add in a little bit more darker blue. So I've just picked up a bit of ultramarine and just feathered in a little bit of that ultramarine up the top. And I find that just helps to give the scene a bit more depth. Okay, usually if you look at the top of the photograph, it's a little bit darker. Okay, because normally that bit of the sky is going to be closer to you. Okay, so it's just, I mean, so basic. Really just something like that you can pull off. Okay, now here's that next part that I was really thinking about. I'm just looking and seeing if I've actually got a straight line here. I'm always because I'm painting on a funny sort of angle to make sure I've got the camera in. It's always a little bit difficult to tell whether I'm painting straight or not, but I think we've got that okay. We've got a nice generally straight line here. Okay, and what I will do, I think I'll actually go into a bit of the foreground first with some yellow ochre, really diluted down yellow ochre. So kind of like that. I do have a bit of grey accidentally mixed in there. I can also, you know, because the sand is quite vibrant in the scene, we can put in a bit of Hansa yellow too, but just be careful that you're not overdoing it. I find it can be, yeah, it can be easy to just get that scene looking too yellowy, way too yellowy and up, and just making it going overboard. So look at that. Simple little brush strokes. All we're doing is painting around some of the figures, some of the shapes in here, okay, into the sand, and again the proportion of paint I'm using, it's only 10%, 5 to 10%. All right. Really, this scene shouldn't take you all that long. It should take you, 30 minutes max if you follow along with me, not overthink it. Okay. So there we have it. We've got a bit of, we've got a bit of the sand there. We've got a bit of that sky in. And now this area of the sky is hopefully going to start to dry off a little bit soon so I can go in. But while that's happening, a nice little trick that I recommend you to do is pick up a couple of brushes. So usually I've got this little fan brush or something, right? And I'll pick up a darker kind of bit of yellow, and check this out. I can just sort of tap, and you've got to be careful as well because I'm terrible with this. I just end up causing a huge mess and frustrating myself. But yeah, kind of cover the bit that you don't want with splatter, and just do this. Okay, that way we've got some, we've got some variation in that sand. Whatever it is, might be some of this, more vibrant yellow. But while the paint is still wet, you're going to find that it's going to blend in nicer. You don't have to do too much. And, it looks a bit like footprints. All right? A little bit. Okay? But it just gives the bottom of the scene a little bit more variation. So, oops, this is like another bit of paper, and I've got some paint on it, but it doesn't matter. We'll fix that up later. So there we have it. Real basic stuff here. We've just got in the, we basically just got in the sand. We've got in the sky. Now we will put in some details for the umbrella, and we've got a few more people now showing up in the chats. Don't be afraid to say hello if you're here, if you're new as well, because you always like to hear from new people and hear what you think of these workshops as well, and especially if you've got questions, because this is a really good opportunity to ask me these questions while I'm here. A lot of my students message me during the day, email, and it's very hard often to explain how to do things via email. So while I'm here, do make use of that, and if you have questions, ask me, and I'm very happy to get back to you straight away. We've got Bonnie is, I already read out your comment, Bonnie. We've got Rohana from Malaysia, and try to follow you from time to time. Thank you, Rohana, and welcome. We've got Christine as well from Turkey, 11 a.m. That's a good time. Not yet for lunch. We've got Sharon from Hampshire in England. Welcome, Sharon. We've also got Mary Mundy and from the UK. And good to see that you are following along again today, Marie. We've got, I've got tons of these workshops that I've been doing lately, and I've been enjoying myself. So let's put in some colors and things like that. I do like this umbrella, how there's a bit of blue, but you know what? I think we'll leave that just a moment. Let's actually just go into the water, just in the back here. I'm going to pick up ultramarine blue. It's a pretty dark blue. All right. I'm going to just tap that on the paper. Let's have a look. That sky in the background should have pretty much dried off. And I'm just using this brush. It's kind of tricky to paint from this angle, but using this brush now, cut around the umbrella here. All right. Just for some reason, whenever I paint, I end up with these splotches of paint all over the place. I don't know where they come from, but it must be the kind of way that I violently put the brush back in the water container or something like that. But I just find all this water all over the place, and I wonder how did it actually get there. So we're just going around these little umbrellas, and guys, normally you do these very quickly, but with beach landscapes, because we have so little to go by in this scene, we have really just a tiny little bit of detail. If you think about it, in the umbrellas, in the people, you really want to be careful in terms of making sure that we don't eliminate unnecessarily. And we have to leave in some details here and there, yeah? All right, so that's the umbrella. I'm cutting around these figures as well, as you can see, a little bit of that blue in the background, and you'll notice some of that blue, it is blending a bit into the sand, a bit into the sky. I'm not too fussed at that, but again, that's a stylistic sort of thing. You can wait for longer and you'll get a sharper edge there, and it will look cleaner, but for the sake of just, you know, being a little bit quicker, I just want to get it over and done with. But here you can see it's like a little bit of that sky just blending up, which is probably not the best, but we will make do anyhow. All right, there we have it. I mean, and one of the things I use as well is a little hair dryer. That can often save me a lot of time. Okay, good. All right, so there we have it. We've got a bit of that water, a bit of that sky in as well, and we have kind of alternating bits of sharpness and softness down there. No big deal. So what do we do next? Let's put in some colors for the umbrellas. Let's put in some colors for the figures, you know, and remember as well to take a bit more time with this. Where is my brush? I'm going to pick up a round brush, just a small round brush like this. That's all you need. And for example, we've got this umbrella here up the top. You know, it's got a nice vibrant blue, okay, to the left. So let's get in a bit of that. Okay. Get a bit of that blue. Okay. Get in some, what's that? Is that green or something? Looks like green next to it. We'll mix up a little bit of light green here. Or it could be yellow. Whatever. There we go. A little bit of that lighter color there. You can just even paint it in all the same color if you'd like. It's not a huge deal. We've got some red. Okay, a bit of red. You know, have a bit of fun and just, you know, use whatever colors you would like, essentially. Okay. Red, and I think the other side's just going back to like a yellowish color, so I'll just pick up a warmer yellow color and drop that in at the back. Now, as you can see, unfortunately, I've gone in while the background is still a bit wet, and so there is some spread of color from the umbrella. Not ideal, but you know, you tend to see me go through and put my finger through some areas like this, and I do this all the time in my paintings, and that's a way to just lift off some paint, stop it from moving around too much, and you know, looks all right. It looks passable there. So over the right hand side, we've got this other umbrella, and there's I mean, it is a little bit tricky, isn't it? There's kind of these funny patterns running all over it. You know, whether you want to actually mimic that pattern or not, or put in another color, that's really up to you. I'm going to try to just mimic that a little bit. It may or may not work. Okay. Little basic umbrella like that. I don't want to do too much. Underneath, you know, we have this, you know, this container, this bluish container, but it is dulled down. I'll put in a bit of gray there as well underneath. Okay. And, you know, I always have to keep reminding myself, you know, Darren, this is not to get in all the really dark details. We're mainly just getting in a bit of light over the top of all this. Okay. There's that chair that this person's sitting in. Little detailing around the chair. We've got this towel here on the ground that's like a kind of bluish color. You know, there's another container of some sort there. Okay, we've got these two people as well, so you know, we can put in a bit of color for them. I'm going to get a bit of yellow ochre, mix it in with some red, tiny bit of red, and this person could just be walking around, yep, like that, just getting a bit of this general skin tone. Now, the way I mix skin tones really depends on the subject, okay? But you can use a mixture of yellow ochre, a mixture of, yellow ochre, perylene red, and brown ochre or burnt umber. Okay, sometimes a bit of blue. The burnt umber and the blue will darken the skin tones a bit more. Okay, I'm trying to keep things a little bit lighter at this stage because I don't want to put in too many dark values until later. I'm trying to imply that this is a person's shirt, and then the arms here to the side. Can you see that? I mean, so basic. Shorts. You know, how about some kind of purplish shorts? Yeah, let's mix in some of this you know, purpley colored shorts for fun like that. Okay, and legs, back to that yellowy color, yellowy reddish color here. Oops, there we go. There we have it. We have a person. This person's kind of not wearing a shirt, I guess. All right. So we've got a little bit of something going on here. Another figure there. Okay. So these umbrellas as well. Really, again, you got to think about what you want to do there. I'm going to add in a bit of color for this umbrella. Back all the way in the distance, it's very vibrant blue, but I think I'll just subdue it down a bit actually and keep it perhaps a little lighter. I'm hoping to just imply some sunlight hitting the top of that umbrella. You have to be just so, you know, make every brush stroke count when you're dealing with these sort of subjects, because, you know, there's not much in here besides a bit of sand, a bit of the sky, that kind of thing, and every single brush stroke you put in will be visible, and it makes a difference. So you just have to be mindful of what you're doing all the time. Okay, so I think we're just about there in terms of all the lighter colors here. Just having a look at the chats, there's a few questions. So Marie's asking, what brush are you using, Darren? So this brush here is just a round brush, a synthetic round brush. It's a number 6. Often I don't find it useful telling people the numbers of the brushes unless you use the exact same size of paper, which I'm using about an A4 size bit of paper here. So, you know, you just want to pick a round brush with these little detailing parts, a round brush that's small enough so that you can detail, but it still holds enough paint as well. And with the larger sections, I use mop brushes. So all of these ones here, basically, like ones here on the right, which have a large belly, pick up a lot of paint. But, yeah, picks up a lot of paint, but it can be difficult and cumbersome to get in small details. Okay? Alrighty. I'm just having a look, like, at this water out the back. There just seems to be a bit of inconsistency with the water. I may have to go over it again, only because I think maybe that part is dried and the left side hasn't dried. I don't know, but it does seem to be a little dark to the left. I will dry it off and see what happens. Alrighty, so we are back again, and it's yeah, I do notice that the water on the right hand side is a little bit, it needs to be darkened slightly. I really don't like doing this at all, but sometimes when it's just too obvious, I do from time to time go back into sections and at least smooth off in that area and bring it over a bit like that. Okay. This will just make it look a bit more even from the left and the right. Perhaps almost look like waves or something off in the distance. You know, see these tiny little marks on the water? They do sometimes help to imply like some waves, inconsistencies back there. Okay, that's it. I don't want to overdo it. I think it looks good as is. Now, time to put in the details of the figures, you know, the legs and all that kind of stuff. Now, the legs are already in there, but what I find is so crucial in these types of scenes is to put in the shadow underneath. And so I'm going to mix up a shadow color, a bit of blue, ultramarine blue, a bit of perylene red. These two colors are fantastic to make a nice purple, and then a bit of yellow. When you combine all these three colors, you're going to get a, hopefully, if we do it properly, a nice kind of darker color, darker value. Okay, and this is what we're going to use to paint some of our shadows. So we've got a figure here, and I've got it, I would say it's about 50% paint, 50% water. I don't want to make the shadows too dark, but let's see how we go. The umbrella stems are white, so I won't bother with that. But for example, here there's a bit of a shadow coming to the right. Okay, these you know, there's a bag here that is darker, so I'm just going to get a bit of that darkness in underneath like that. Carry a bit of that darkness through and underneath. Okay, like this. And if I can do this all in one go, I mean, that's ideal. Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time trying to paint each individual shadow, but, you know, underneath this figure as well, see there's a bit of shadow there. It's just cast from the umbrella. All right, that's all it is, a little shadow from the umbrella. Sometimes underneath the, or near to the towels and stuff, you might also get some little shadows and things like that. Underneath that thingamo there, I might just extend the shadow out a touch. Okay, like that. It's kind of the shadow, if you notice, it's kind of coming in front, so it's almost like the light's coming from just behind. But yeah, I can extend that out later. I just want to make sure that it makes sense also for these people walking around, and it looks more, I don't know, a little bit more realistic. So we've got a couple of people walking here. I'm just going to put in a tiny indication of the shadow being formed in front of the figures. Okay, like that. Ooh. That. I've kind of gone a bit too overboard there, but yeah. Okay, little shadow there in front, which means I might have to actually extend some of these shadows further out the back as well. There's, let me just think, what else do we have in here? Not really that much. Not really that much. I was probably, if I were to do these shadows again, I probably would have made them a little bit smaller, shorter. Okay, but that'll be okay. Let's have a look. What else can we do? Maybe I can just alter the stuff out in the back a bit here to be a little bit more in the dark. Okay, there we go. One big thing is that the shadows have to make sense. Yeah, you've got to, you know, if the light appears to be coming from the back area like that, the light at the back also needs to have that same kind of look. Okay. You know, you can get in like some of the details of the shorts, you know, underneath the shirt, you know, a bit of a shadow underneath the head as well, sometimes like here, that just forms like that. You know, a bit underneath the arms, you know, let's put some shorts on this guy as well here. Just a few brush strokes should do the trick. Yeah, if I were to do it again, I would say I would just make that shadow a little bit less, yeah, just directly under the figures. Okay, that would probably look better rather than just coming too forward like I've done here, but it doesn't matter. we get the general gist of what's happening. I'm also tempted to maybe just get rid of the shadow altogether. Maybe I could use this as a way to just do some lifting out techniques. Yeah, why not? Let's see if we can change this up. It's very difficult in watercolor. Once you lay a color down, you will find it is near impossible to remove that color again. Okay, but it's still possible. So what I'm doing there is I'm just picking up a little bit of water, rubbing onto the paper like this, and using the tissue paper to lift off. So it is possible. You can sort of lift off, especially when the paper is wet. Okay, but it's not, I mean, it's certainly not the most ideal thing to do. It still kind of shows through. And so what I'm going to have to do, I think anyway, is to maybe put in another layer of color here in the front. But yeah, like a little bit more of that yellow or something here running across the ground to just mask that a little bit. But as you can see, it does look, you know, we've kind of gotten rid of that shadow. Yeah, a lot of people think you can't get rid of color once you lay it down on the paper. You can, but yeah, again, it's not easy, and I wouldn't recommend it. I recommend just trying to get it right the first time round. But sometimes you certainly don't have that luxury. So I'm going around and maybe a little bit of brown. You know, sometimes you get a bit of brown or something like that here near the front. So I'm just feathering a bit of this sort of brownish color in to hopefully, one, mask that area, and two, create a bit of contrast between the yellowish color of the sand and a little bit of this foreground, like create a bit of distinction between the foreground and the midground area. Okay, so that looks all right. It looks all right. I'm going to give it a quick dry. A couple more questions as well I forgot to answer. Rana's asking, what type of paper and paint do you usually use? So normally I will use cold press or medium textured paper, and I've used Bauhong paper, and in terms of paint I use all kinds of paints: Daniel Smith, Art Spectrum, Holbein. As long as they're professional grade watercolor paints, you're fine. You can get by with anything. I find a lot of the paints are closer, more similar to each other than not. Okay, now here we got just a little bit of this darker color that I'm going through now, and I just want to redo that shadow a touch. Okay, make it come towards underneath the figure, but yeah, just not as far as I'd gone before. All right, that there. We can add a bit of hair onto these people as well, like a bit of brown or something, whatever suits really, whatever you'd like. There we have it. And usually the hair really just sort of makes them look more like people. Okay, and where you put the hair also matters. So notice how I've got this. Look, I'm trying to turn it to someone with long hair, lady with long hair, and because I've put the hair on the left side of her head, it looks like she's got her head turned to the right. So that's another little thing to keep in mind as well. Like, it's tiny little things like that do make a difference. Okay, I just want to get his shirt in a bit better, more defined where the sleeves are there in the corners. You know, I think we're pretty much done. I mean, for a real simple scene like that, I'm really not looking to put anything else in there. So that shouldn't really have taken too long. But I want to do another one, and yeah, a more complex one. But before I do, I'm just going to pick up a bit of white gouache, see if I can just get myself in some little highlights. Okay, and this white gouache is good for getting in things like these stems of the umbrellas. You can see here, I've kind of just forgotten about them, but there's one that runs down like that into the sand. There's another one there, but it's actually the stems in shadow, so it doesn't matter. But, you know, around the edges of the umbrella as well, you'll notice that there are tiny little frills that are white. Even up the top there, there's a little bit of white up there that could, you know, it could be a highlight. I mean, it could be anything, but just something there to bring in a touch of sparkle in places. You know, yeah. The thing is that you just don't want to overdo it. If you overdo it, the gouache looks too obvious. So just, yeah, simplify that down a bit. You know, I've gone a bit too thick with the gouache there in the back. Doesn't matter. Just go finish it off. Oops. We've got a bit of white on top of the head of the figure as well. A bit of gouache on the top of the heads. And this is just going to indicate the light. And on the shoulders of the figures as well, maybe like this. Alright. So that's it. I think that's pretty much it for a simple little, scene like this. Okay. And you can really pump these out quite quickly if you want. Normally it only takes me about 30 minutes. And Marie says she likes, you like the darker sand at the front, looks better. Yeah, the darker sand at the front just gives it a tiny bit more depth. I think just makes it look like there's more of a foreground. So, and you can't even see the accident that I made. It's with these, with watercolors, if you're going to get rid of a mistake, just do it immediately rather than waiting till the paint dries. Once it's dried, it's very hard to lift off the paints. So fantastic. So here we have it. That's the finished quick little beach scene. And I've already prepared another bit of paper. So I'm going to put this one aside and let's have a go. Let's have a try with this next one. I'm going to change the photograph a bit so you can see what it is that I'm painting. And I'm going to also try to do this one fairly quickly. Where is it? Where is it? Come on. In my downloads. There it is. Okay. So you should be able to see that photo fairly. I'm going to increase the size of it a bit like this. So, you know, people had trouble seeing it last time. Something like that. And if you haven't already liked the video, do me a favor and click the like button. Share it with a friend as well that might be interested in it. Really helps me out to get the video just get the video out to more people and more students. Really appreciate that. And alrighty, so let's get ahead. Let's continue on. Let's do the drawing for this one. And you know, this one is, I mean, there's lots more going on, but essentially we've got an almost similar scene because we've got here in the background, about halfway through the page, or a little bit more than halfway, we've got the water line. Okay, a little bit more than halfway through the page. So where the sand ends and the water starts, we've got a little bit of the water back there, but it's so light you can't even see it, which is good. We'll have to just get that in very, very subtly. Again, this is like a type of scene where the photographers increase the brightness, the exposure of the exposure, so it's just almost overexposed. Okay, but we've got here on the left hand side, one thing I really liked about this was just that this little building here that comes in over the top of everything, that's comes, you know, that's like a triangle. And the bottom, does anyone know where this is? I have no idea where this is, but you know, I like these little scenes where there's sometimes houses and restaurants and stuff like that, little huts on the beach. It just makes the scenes a bit more interesting to draw rather than having all the same, you know, sand and stuff. I like just a bit of this stuff that breaks it up and makes it more interesting. Is that a traffic light? This is a traffic light on top of that. I don't even know whether I don't think I'll get that in. It seems really strange that there's a traffic light on top. But you know, you've got people here. There's like a kind of a sail here. what do you call it? Yeah, stuck into the ground like that. There's a, is that a flag? Yeah, I think that's a flag. Where is this? I might just zoom into the reference photo. I'm just very curious about where this is. And this is Pavilion, Pavilijon, Seaside Sports. I have no idea what this is. Yeah, I'll be distracted there for a moment. So I'm going to continue on. Let's, that's just a bit of this building. And remember, the building is, it's just underneath, we've got a rectangle. Okay, on the top, it's like a triangular part of that roof. We've got this section here, kind of like a, I don't know what it is, like a left side of the building or what have you. And there's, little plaques, advertisements and things. We've got like this motorbike scooter here. Simplify this down and just get in a couple of wheels. There you've got, that looks like a scooter of some sort or a motorbike with the visor in. Behind you've got just the wheels, 2 wheels like this. There we have it. All this stuff I'm just going to get in real quickly because I don't want to, I don't want this to be a whole stress of trying to get in all the details of motorbikes and stuff like that. But of course, there's a lot going on in here. Now, one thing to remember is that the vantage point of the photographer is coming from above, like basically up in the overhead somewhere. So when we're looking down, you'll notice that all the figures in the front of the scene, are the people walking around, their heads are below the horizon line. Okay, so you got someone standing here. Let's put in some figures, heads. Let's see if I can do this quickly. Head of a figure there. There's another one here. And as we kind of get closer, you notice the heads get a bit bigger. Okay, not too big, but something like that. Just the legs. I don't want to put too much detail in for the legs, but just something like that. You see a row of kind of people walking into the scene. I also want to just move them around a little bit, have some that are just walking on an angle like this. We've got some smaller ones. As we go up into the distance, you'll find that the figures become smaller, and not only that, their heads go closer to the horizon line. Okay, so the figures just move kind of up a little bit, but you have to really make some of these figures quite small. Okay, so that it looks like you're really receding off into the distance. Okay, to the point where you've got some figures all the way back here where you can't, you can barely see them. You barely see them back there. I'm going to get in this flag or whatever it is here. I like that. Okay, something waving along in the wind. There's another pole or something next to it, like a fence here as well. I don't know what that is. There is another structure here. It looks like a food van or something here. There we have it, and a bit of side bits of details like that. Good, you've got people walking in. This figure is probably a little bit too big, so I'm going to reduce the head size of these 2 figures tiny bit down. You might have someone just walking down here as well. Like, here's another figure just walking down, and he's kind of on a hill or something. I'm thinking like going up, going down, down that sort of direction. Another person back here. So one thing I really want to make sure is that the scene is all kind of balanced. So we've got, some figures in the front, we've got some figures in the back. It's not just all the same, they're all just standing around in the same spot, and this shadow running to the right as well. I'm just indicating some of this stuff too. On the ground there is a path, but I'm not going to bother with the path. It's very, very basic. Foolish one saying the reference is in a place called Haarlem in Amsterdam. Well spotted. Well spotted. Yeah, I wouldn't have a clue. I found this one off Just went onto a free reference photo website. All these reference photos, by the way, are royalty free. That's how I get away with it, running all these workshops. And always, it's too stressful for me to go ask someone to use their photo, and then it's just too much hassle. I just, there's enough photographs out there that I can just pick out a few nice ones. Or, you know what? Take them yourself. So, look, we are pretty much done. I think we are pretty much done with the drawing. It might not look much to you, but I tell you what, it certainly gets the job done. Okay, what we want to achieve anyway for a basic sort of scene like this. Okay, I don't want to spend too long in here. Okay, yeah, I think that looks good. So let's go ahead, let's get cracking, everyone. So the sky. Now this time I'm going to make the sky more subdued. So I'm mixing in a bit of this grey that I had before as well. Let's put that in. A little bit of this greyish coloured sky, but still on the cooler end. But still have that, whatchamacallit, cerulean blue in here as well. Just, it's more subtle. It's more subtle. Okay? Because I do notice the reference photo colors are quite desaturated. So I thought, why not try something that's less saturated as well? Okay, look at that. Just bringing that all the way down to the end here where we've got the water. All right, that's where the water starts, and it needs to be a little bit darker, by the way, the water. We've got got enough of that that stuff here in the back, the sky there in the back, nice sort of lighter sort of sky. Now we move down into the sand. This is where we really need to be more mindful. I'm going to pick up, this is a bit of white gouache, and I'm mixing that gouache in with a touch of yellow. All right, and the reason why I'm doing this is to make a kind of milky white color. If you have titanium white, same deal. It's the same thing. I just mix in a bit of titanium white to whatever bit of yellow that I have, and you can get in this very low-key sand color. Okay, it's not going to be as yellow and, you know, but it's just a real basic sand color, because what we want to do is keep that area of the sand really light, so that when we put in the shadows, and I'm not going to go too dark with the shadows as well, it's going to make the shadows look more obvious. Okay, but on top of all this stuff, I'm also, you know, you see that I'm also mixing in a few other colors, so it's not just, yeah, you know, I'm still mixing in a bit of yellow here and there. All right, bit of yellow ochre was probably the best to use. You can use that same technique I had before, where you're kind of splattering paint around as well. Look at that. Okay, good. Bit more yellow. Okay, near the front, more yellow and maybe some grey or something here at the front. Why not just darken the front a touch? That helps to, at times, yeah, kind of give the scene more depth. And, you know, a trick is when you mix in purple with yellow, it just makes a kind of dull grayish color. When you mix two primary colors together, that's what happens. So if I ever want to dull down my yellow, I'll mix in a tiny bit of purple in there. Okay, but remember to keep this all quite light, as you can see. Now here in the background, let's get this water out the way. Again, it's not very saturated color, it's almost like this color of the sky, but I'm going to mix in a little bit more ultramarine in there. Let's see if I can just get in some basic water. One brush stroke. Can I do it in one brush stroke? Because if you can do things in one brush stroke, that's always a skill to admire. Okay, does need to be darker though, so I'm going back into it. Okay, the sky is still kind of wet, so you notice that, yeah, as I go back in there, it's still melting into the sky section a bit. Okay, we want to make sure, for me anyway, I want to make sure that water in the background is dark enough so that it indicates a bit of separation, one from the sand, but two from the sky as well. All right. But I don't want too many sharp edges. If I can just see, I've just softened down a bit of that area here. You know, it doesn't matter. Something like that. Okay, as long as you've got a bit of lighter, a darker color back there for the water, you're completely fine. Okay, time to go for this rooftop. I've got some of this, whatchamacallit, put something in the sky accidentally. This is burnt sienna. Okay, bit of burnt sienna. You should be a bit more careful than me because if I've just got some in the sky, you can dab a bit of that off. No big deal. Okay. Okay, so a bit of that burnt sienna. I just want to get in a brownish color for the sky. I do have some darker brown as well, so I will just mix a bit of that in there because I thought that, yeah, the brown already looks just too, yeah, just a bit too much, too warm. Now, mix, I'm going to grab my, just another brush. If you've got a round brush, a flat brush, or something like that, whatever you've got here, and I'm going to go and put in the side of this building, and I've got some grey, tiny bit of grey, and if you've got some brown as well, you can use some of that brown for this stuff. Coming down like this. Okay. And cutting around the figures like that. Come on, Darren, let's get this done. Like that. Right. Look at that. Okay, so we've got a little bit of that white kind of on the edge of that building, but yeah, for the most part. There. What else do we have? We've got, yeah, it just kind of comes down, as you can see, into the ground where the figures are. I'm picking up just whatever grayish color I have on the palette. I don't care what color this is, as long as it's a darker color and it's not... I'm going to mix in a bit of red, a bit of blue, and a bit of yellow, just to get that grayish color coming back again. Okay, like that. All right. Drop that in here. There is this another section here that is darker again. All right. It's the color the proportion of paint I'm using is probably about 50% paint, 50% water. Okay. It's not the roof isn't quite ready yet, and I've gone to see there. Apparently some of the color is seeped into the sky, which I'm not completely happy with, but again, it's also not a huge deal. Okay, just want to keep that a little bit lighter up there. Okay, so let's get this thing in, whatever it is. There's like a little sign here or something, but it doesn't matter as long as it just becomes almost like one big shape. Okay, and then you've got what have you got? You've got this bike here as well. If I can get in some darkness in the bike, I think I'll dry off the whole scene at the base first. Oh, sorry, I forgotten to turn on the microphone as I was changing it around. Hope you can hear me. You should be able to hear me now. Sorry, guys. Yeah, what I was explaining there basically was basically I'm just mixed up a bit of darker paint, bit of neutral tint. Yeah, basically to just get in some of these, you know, indications of motorbikes and stuff like that in there. Okay, so I've basically just one color. They don't even really look like motorbikes. They could be anything really, but you know, over here I have noticed that there is some kind of like bluish, that sail or whatever that I've forgotten to put in before. So I'll just chuck in some like lighter blue color, like that there, and I'll get the bottom of that. I'll get the bottom of it in afterwards. But we can focus on some of these figures, and this is what I like to do. I like to put in all the colors first. So I might have a bit of this gray color for this person, okay, bit of blue here or something like that for that person, you know, a bit of darker color for this person. We can go in, you know, just alternate between cool and warm, and you can use white just as well. That's completely fine. Here in the background I've noticed that there is just some, you know, this other section of the buildings to the right hand side, and so I'll go in there and just get in a bit of that brown or whatever in the background, whatever it is. Okay, often I don't even look at what is back there. I just look at the shapes. Like that looks like a triangular shape. It could be an umbrella. See, just something like that over in the background. I know there will be darkness underneath here, this shade of the food truck or whatever you, okay, and using that to cut around these figures a bit, tiny bit of cutting around, okay, but there's not, you know, not much going on there really, just a little bit of darkness here and there. The darkness does help as well to kind of bring out the light of the scene, but again, let's just put in more colors for the people. You know, look, that's a brown shirt or something. You know, most of these people aren't even, you know, some of these people aren't even wearing shirts. So, you know, you can just put in a bit of like basic values that you, whatever values you want for the skin. Okay. People walking around, and I just vary that up a little bit in places here. Okay, these ones in the back, they just become so small that you can't, it doesn't matter. Right? Good. Maybe the legs. Let's get the legs in, a little bit of color for the legs. And we'll just spread that and get that down like that. Just quick couple little brush strokes for the legs. Oh, too much. This guy's got like a really long wonky leg. Doesn't matter. There, you know, there, that. And the trick is on just mixing in all the colors together so that the body kind of melds into the legs. Okay, and it's going to look more organic this way. And at the same time, we're going to put in some shadows of the buildings and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I'm going to mix in, actually I've already got a kind of purplish color here. Let's go with that purple. I've got red, I've got blue, and I've got the rest of this, whatever it is, it's just like a purplish gray color. Mostly just water in here. Okay, and let's move some of this shadow. As you can see, there's a bit of a shadow coming off the building. Maybe, let me see, is it darker? Probably a bit darker. That's like a sharp shadow, by the way. It's sort of, yeah, but of course you've got the shadows of these figures, which they're not as dark as they're not as dark as you think. So just a little bit of something running towards the right hand side of them like that. That's about all you need. And if you can get them to blend in, see how I just get them to blend into the legs at the same time? It makes it all more like more convincing, and you know. Oh, damn, I've done that one too much, but yeah, something like that. That's just, yeah, there. Okay. Just getting all those shadows and getting them to blend with each other a little bit, yeah? Okay, because it's kind of difficult. I'm thinking to myself whether I want to get in a shadow here, like kind of, yeah, it could be some kind of, you know what I mean, like something else just casting a shadow to the left. I'm gonna just do it. It might kind of stuff the painting, but something I just really feel like there should be something over there that casts a little bit of a shadow, makes it look more interesting, but that's up to you if you want to do this. I'm just experimenting, and when you do these little sketches, that's the advantage really. You get to experiment and do whatever you want, you know, and sometimes you end up finding a style or a way of painting that you like. Probably gone a bit overboard there, but you know, something looks like there's something coming in from the left, but probably have overdone it. Doesn't matter. Okay, good. Let's have a look. What else do we want to do? We're just about finished. We're almost finished with this quick little scene, guys. So if you have questions, I'm sure we have a few more questions here. Just let me know. Yeah, just do let me know. But apart from that, I mean, I'm actually thinking to myself, why not put in maybe another figure or something, you know, down the front. There's something just, I feel something is just missing here that I want to imply, but maybe it's also a mistake if I put a figure here. I can try like a darker figure just in the here, like in the front, maybe like this. Kind of like in the whatever, the shadow of whatever that's cast to the on that figure. Yeah, look, it's just something quick. Maybe we can have two people. Look, we have two people. Just getting a bit more darkness in here. It kind of looks alright, actually. Kind of looks alright. You know. That could be on higher ground or something here. All right. One thing I really forgot to do was to get in a bit of like this sand, you know, like that I usually put in here, like the splatter of paint and stuff. And I think that's a little bit of that's missing. God. Going just a bit overboard here, but just see a little bit of this stuff here in the sand, because inconsistencies are important. They kind of make the scene look more interesting. A little bit of that, you know, flicks of paint and stuff like this. Could be rocks and pebbles, like little bits and pieces. Because I don't want to sit here and spend all day just painting all these things in. This is really the next best option. There are some little figures here in the background. I'm going to try to paint them in just a quick couple brush strokes here. Okay, the legs of that figure. And these figures in the back are kind of important because they help to indicate the scale of the scene, so that we kind of got people up in the distance. You just don't want to make them too big. I don't have a brush that's small enough to do this. It's so annoying because I don't like painting too small as well. If possible, I just like to use the same two brushes in all the paintings, but you know, for some of this stuff you're kind of left with no choice. Good little flag pole or whatever there. Let's get some white, a little bit of white in here, and a bit of grey maybe here as well, like that. The side of this building. yeah, just some like, you know what I mean? Just some vertical lines running down this building I thought might be good. Like this, because it's just something missing in the terms of the detail. A little bit of detail back there. Okay, this flag that's kind of like reddish, orangey colored, whatever it is, it's just like a warmer color. So I'm just going to pick up a bit of paint, drop that in there like that. Okay, cool. It could be a McDonald's. Looks like a McDonald's logo or something on there. Okay, what else do we have? You know, the little bits and pieces like these, you know, other flags and stuff running around. There's, you know, bits and pieces sticking out. You know, what's this? Looks like is that a boom gate or something? I have no idea what that is. There's some kind of, why would you ever, is that a boom gate to let people into the actual, that area for the cars or something like that? So, I don't know. I'm just going to paint it anyhow, whatever that is, with a few little brush strokes, because there's not really much darker areas. There's even something here on the beach. I don't know what that is. You know, you can include that or exclude that. I'll probably exclude that. You know, put in a bit of hair and stuff for some of the figures like this, you know, just, oops, too much. Okay. Good. I'm going to give this a little dry and we'll put on some final touches. Oh, actually, I forgot to put on shadow for this one. This figure here to the right. Yeah, sometimes I do find it good as well if you darken off the feet, the feet area, because that just kind of anchors them down a bit. So I'm just picking up whatever bits of darker neutral tint or whatever I've got there to just, you know, anchor them into the ground a bit more, so to speak. So, okay, all right, little dry off. Alrighty, how's everyone going? We are almost finished, really. The last step is, you know, as usual, getting in some gouache, a little bit of white gouache. And if you're new here as well, I thought I'd mention I have a Patreon. If you check in the video description or in the comments, the pinned comment, you can access a whole bunch of courses that I make on there. But also, if you just want to support me running these workshops, because these are completely free, so you can sign up there and just support me for a couple of bucks a month, and I'd really appreciate it. There's also I have a 70 course program which teaches you everything you need to know about watercolors, all kinds of topics: portraiture, landscapes, beaches, nature, buildings. It's probably what I'm most known for, like urban landscapes. So check it out. But let's go ahead. This last bit here, again, just a bit of white gouache. I'm going to go in around here first because we've got these figures to the left. And I just want to put in maybe some light or something running down the left-hand side of those figures to bring them out of the... yeah, kind of like bring them out of the shadows a bit more. Whatever they are, they're not really shadows, but they're kind of... I was trying to imply some kind of shadows back there anyway. You know, top of that bike or whatever. This bike here, it's just kind of lost contrast. You can't really see what is going on in there. It doesn't matter. You know, a little bit here on top of that building, for instance. Let me think. What else do we have in here? We've got... let's have a look. More kind of heads and shoulders of these figures. So I'll tend to just put a dot on the head and then a bit of gouache on the left hand side of the bodies, like that, just to indicate that there is the light source coming from the left. All right, because the shadow is being cast to the right. Look at that, just a quick little indication like that, and you've already got yourself something. I've gone too much with that center figure. Looks like she's wearing a hoodie or something. That there, the flag as well. There'll probably be a bit of white, you know, running down in there or something like that. Okay. And another thing I'll probably do later is add in some more darker values in here. We can kind of do it now, but yeah, just a bit of like brown and black mixed together to create this, because there is a door frame here or something like that. Can you see it? Just like this door there, and that I just want to imply some of that detail with some darker paint. It's really the last step of the painting where you're finding tiny little things that you can bring out, but it doesn't work unless you've got everything else in. And you have to be so sparing with this stuff, because you can really mess up your painting if you go overboard with it. You know, but it's just like your final finishing touches really in the scene. You know, you might have people that are wearing like pants or something, and you just want to like darken down the part of their clothing and stuff like that. It's really up to you. You can go all out with this type of stuff. But I'm today just trying to simplify this all so that we're not going to be here all day. Good. I'll just darken this a bit more. And this figure here in the foreground, like, I'm not quite happy with how the leg's not showing through. So I'm going to just dry brush the leg on a bit more like this to make it look more like a person. Two legs or something like that, and just a shadow to the right again. Okay, good. Okay, I think we're done. How did you find today? Actually, one last thing. I'll keep saying this one last thing, but I always used to put these birds in my scenes. I haven't done them for quite a while, but let's put them in. They're just like these little V shapes in the sky like that, and they just help to indicate this beach scene. Like, you know, it's just a couple of V little wing shapes. Okay, check that out. Maybe we can just put them in areas, especially because I always drop all these blotchy bits of paint all over the place. You can see there's little specks of paint that I've just gone astray from when I'm painting. This really helps to just mask some of those, turn it into something else. Okay, and yeah, it looks more like a beach scene, as you can see now. A bit more like a beach scene. Just trying to keep a few of them maybe in like a little clump of seagulls or whatever in one area like that. Okay, all right. Let me know how you think. How did you find today's workshop? I'll hang around for another couple of minutes for questions. But again, if you're watching along, do me a big favor, click the like button on the video and share it. Share it with a friend or a watercolor group that you're part of. We rely on you guys a lot to get my content, these videos out there. I don't do a whole lot of marketing for them. But today we've done two different scenes. We've done a simple beach scene. And how long have we been painting? I don't think we've been even painting for over an hour and a bit. Well, it's been an hour 22 minutes. Yeah, but normally you can whip up these little scenes in no time at all. I have to keep changing the light because because it's getting a little darker here in Melbourne at the moment. But let me just show you what we've done for today. Here we go. So yeah, one thing I really like about this top one is the figures to the left. Yeah, I do like the figures to the left, the simplicity of them, but kind of looks like that they, you know, you can see what sort of clothes they're wearing. This one here, nice little simple umbrella like that. Yeah, nice little basic scene. This one here, overall, overall, I'm fairly happy with it. Very quick little sketch. I think the shadow I put in was, I think overall it was a good idea because it just looked too kind of stark before, too much light. And when it sort of dried off, I think it looks fairly decent. But Aggressive Koala likes the birds. Catch you next time, Pamela. And just having a look at the comments. Marie says, "Love it. Your paintings come alive at the finish." Yeah, it's you kind of got to believe in it. You got to really you really got to see these paintings through to the end and stick with it. A lot of the time, you're just painting, and you know, sometimes I'm just thinking to myself, "This can't work out." You know, surely this can't work out. But in end of the day, you know, if you've got something that looks fresh, if maybe it's not perfect, it doesn't look exactly like the scene, but it still has, you know, it tells the story that you wanted to tell, which for me, it was just a nice walk on the beach in this one, you know, a bunch of people walking along the beach with this building, you know, then you've got a success. And we've got, let me see, who else have we got in the comments? Got Melody, Happy February, and what about still life and botanical painting? I'm not an expert on those, but I have done flowers, like some botanicals here and there. It's, yeah, I normally, for some reason, I really like painting buildings. But yeah, botanicals. I'll write that down for some time because I've done sunflowers before. Glenn says, "I'm really learning by watching your videos." Thank you, Glenn. And yeah, consider signing up for my Patreon as well if you want to support me. It's a couple bucks a month. Yeah, it just really helps me out. Trong says, "Love it." Thank you, Trong. And yeah, I'll probably catch you around next time. It's new. I think I haven't seen you here before. It's a whole bunch of new faces because I'm streaming at a slightly different time. And Aggressive Koala says, "Like them both. Great session." Thank you. Thanks, Aggressive Koala. Guys, that's it for today. Thank you for coming along. I'll organize the next one a bit better next time. I'm probably going to just make it over on a weekend, like a Saturday morning. For me, a Saturday morning, which means most people can make it. And we'll go from there. But thanks for joining again, and I'll see you